Alright, good morning y'all. Sorry about the sun. What is day 3, last day of the trip. We're going to be taking a bunch of ferries today. I'm out walking trying to find some phone service because there's none on the whole Outer Banks. See if I can't get some messages sent, stuff like that. Sorry, there was a dog. I figured I should stop and pet the dog. But yeah, we're in this campground called Frisco Campground on Cape Hatteras, and it's just kind of like a campground in a maritime forest, which is really cool. It's about 10-15 minutes away from Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, so we do have to go back up the road a little bit. I didn't realize it was that far away. Thought we were in walking distance actually, but oh well. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. We gotta get some breakfast and get on the road probably about 8:30 or so. Again, we're gonna try to hit the 9 o'clock climb for Cape Hatteras and see what happens. And I think I'm gonna head back to the campsite and get my camera and start doing a little cooking.
I just see your dad going, oh yeah, and a ferry out there? Oh yeah.
These knuckleheads left a wallet and a phone in the tent when we rolled it up this morning. So we're unfurling the tent in the parking lot of the lighthouse. And, oh my lord, that was stuck to the bottom of our tent. So that is just wonderful. Alright, so we cannot take the puppy with us climbing on the lighthouse up there. So we're jerry-rigging a little shade thing for her here. This was Lily's idea. This is one of the more famous lighthouses, I think. The most famous lighthouse on the North Carolina coast. It's one with like diagonal stripes, as you can kind of see up there. So that's the lighthouse. So we're gonna go climb that in just a second here, and then we are going to hit the graveyard of the Atlantic Museum, which is a shipwreck museum, and then we're gonna get on a ferry. We're gonna go over to Ocracoke, and then after Ocracoke, which is like a kind of a town with a dialect, its own dialect actually, called the Hoytoitas dialect. So we're gonna go do that, and that's like a whole little town. There's pirates, and I believe it was like Blackbeard's last living area, like the last town he lived in. So we're gonna go do that, and then we're gonna get on another ferry, and that ferry is gonna get us back to the mainland, and that'll kind of be the end of the trip. We're gonna actually end in Atlantic Beach. We're staying on the beach in a house Lily's parents own, so we're gonna go do that tonight. But yeah, stay tuned. Up in the lighthouse. It was super windy, so I figured recording there was not a good idea, and my camera died, so I'm back to the phone again. We're gonna have to work out the camera battery pack thing for trips like this. Hopefully I'll figure out a way to charge mobily. We are headed back to the car now. We're gonna go find some coffee. We need some ginger ale for the ferry ride, and then we're headed to the Shipwreck Museum. We were just in the graveyard of the Atlantic Shipwreck Museum, which was super cool. They had a bunch of, like, you know, old artifacts from shipwrecks. So apparently the waters off of Cape Hatteras are like some of the most dangerous, definitely in the US, I think some of the most dangerous in the world. So there's all sorts of crazy like shipwrecks off here, and there were a ton of U-boat activity and stuff like that back during World War II and World War I. So there's a ton of that kind of shipwreck around as well. We got some time to kill a little bit before we need to go get in line, so we're gonna go and walk out on the beach. Ferries first come first serve, so we do have to go get in line, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're trying to make a noon ferry with the backup of getting a 1 ferry. Noon ferry gives us a lot more time to explore Ocracoke, which, like I said before, was where Captain Blackbeard, that pirate, he actually lived out his last days before he was, I think he was captured, or before he made his last stand anyway. He lived out on Ocracoke Island for quite a while. It was one of his operating bases. So that's what we're doing next, is heading out that way. Hi, Lily. The kind of cool thing is you can actually drive on the beach here. And so there's a lot of trucks, and you got to get like a permit or something, but you can actually come out and drive on the beach. There's all these access points and stuff like that. So one of these days I definitely want to get a 4-wheeler and try that out. It is ferry time. Here we go. We are headed over to get in line right now. All right, folks, we're on the ferry, sitting in the car. There is literally nowhere else for us to sit but in the car. I think there's a deck up there that we can get some like views of after the ferry leaves, but we're stuck here until the ferry goes. Not sure when that is. So we're just gonna kind of play it by ear. We'll see. We're out of the car now, steaming away from shore and heading over to Ocracoke. So this is ferry ride number 1 of 2. There's a second ferry ride. It's gonna be way longer. This one's like at 45 minutes or an hour. The next one is ridiculously long. It's like 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. So we're hoping there's gonna be more of a spot to sit and chill. We'll see what happens. Off the ferry and we were driving over to Ocracoke, and we saw Ocracoke Pony Pasture. Now we haven't seen any ponies yet. These don't look like they're wild ponies, unfortunately, but we're gonna check it out anyway.
Hello. Can I get you, Rocky?
Yeah, you can. You might have to.
All right, so that was pretty cool. They are in like stables, so we found out actually that they used to be free roaming ponies on the island here, and then they kept getting hit by cars, and so to keep them safe, they put them in those pens to keep them safe, so people could keep seeing them and they could keep living. So they're still wild, I think, kind of. They just kind of have more of an area where they're allowed to go. They're kept there to keep them safe. So that's what we're finding out now. So we're gonna keep going down to Ocracoke and check out the town. Ocracoke. Couldn't really find anywhere to eat that would let us bring the dog inside, so we found somewhere online. It's like a mile away. We're gonna go drive over there, and we're gonna grab something to eat. Hopefully find a beer. We're still trying to find this brewery. Did not find that either. We have like another 2 hours until the ferry comes, I think, and no battery on like anything. My phone's about to die, my camera's dead. Luckily my little brother has a camera that works, but you can't turn it around to vlog, so we're gonna keep working on what we can. But ferry comes at around 4 o'clock, so that's what our deadline to kind of see everything here in Ocracoke.
I'm obsessed with this wood, honestly. Like, look how cool it looks on screen. Oh yeah.
Alright, so we stopped and got a beer over there, kinda. And then we were gonna come over here and see if we could eat, but it's another place that's no dogs. So we're going to regroup. They went off to the store to go grab a couple things, and then I'm waiting for them to come back, and we're gonna kind of regroup and figure out what our next move is, because we keep running into places where you can't bring dogs inside, which is just not really working for us, because there's also no shady spots to park the car for the pub. Ferry comes in like an hour and a half or something like that, hour and 20 now, I think, maybe, since we stopped and had a beer, but we got some time before we need to get back. So I'm kind of feeling like we might need to just skip the seafood lunch and try to hit the lighthouse before the ferry time, see if we can't hit a couple other things real quick, and then snack on the ferry. You know, we're like 3.5 hours away from food, I think, at this point, so that's what we're just gonna have to do, I think. But I'm gonna talk about that with them and see what they're thinking. Alright, so indeed, we went to the lighthouse, like a 2.5 hour ferry ride, and that's kind of actually the end of the trip, if we're being honest, because the last like hour is just to drive to Morehead City. Technically, I think the byway runs for a little while on the mainland, but like for the most part, we're done. Alright, Macy over here, she's taking us back to the car. She's ready to go back. She's exhausted or tired or hot, probably all three. We're all three, actually. We're heading out away from the lighthouse. We're gonna go see if we can get to the Blackbeard Museum for free, because we have like 15 minutes before we have to go find our ferry. Maybe more like 25, but you know. And so we're gonna go check that out, and then we're gonna go, if not, there's like one other thing we might be able to see here. It's like some Civil War thing. Otherwise, we're gonna go get in line for the ferry pretty quick here. Alright, we are here waiting for the ferry. We got here 5 minutes to spare before the cutoff. Apparently, you have to check in a half an hour beforehand so that you don't get put on like a standby line if you have a reserved ticket, which we do because I figured it would be busy. So we're kind of just posted up here after 3:30. The ferry doesn't even leave until 4, so we have still like a half an hour left before we're even getting on the ferry to leave. I imagine it probably starts boarding at 3:45 or something, but we'll see. We on this boat. Ain't gone anywhere yet, but we on this boat.
We on this motherfucking boat.
See, that's what she said.
We on a boat and it's going fast, and I got another thing pass on my Afghan.
He doesn't have an Afghan on. I don't know what he's talking about. Alright, now he has an Afghan. It's nautical enough. We're out in the middle of nowhere, basically. Land is back there some. We're going somewhere over there, but you can't even see land yet. We have like 2.5 hours or something on this ferry. It's quite a ways, but I think in the end it'll be a fun ride, and it's so nice out. It's super calm, so we're just enjoying it. In Cedar Island. That's where we've been going. We've been on the ferry for like 20 minutes. If you look out the window over there, maybe you can see, there you go, you can see we're coming into the ferry landing.
This is the last stop of the trip. From here, we are heading over to Lily's beach house. So we have just hit the end of the byway. We are done with the trip officially. We are in Beaufort, basically, just outside of Beaufort. So that's the trip from Corolla, North Carolina to Beaufort, North Carolina. We are making our way to Atlantic Beach to go hit the beach, hang out at a beach house. We're gonna go try to find some more beer and some seafood.
All right, so we have made it all the way to the guest house. So this is kind of the backyard, and then you go like right through there, and yeah, that's the water, like right there. So they're on the beach, which is super cool. So we're making dinner upstairs right now, so we're gonna go get some water. But yeah, I'm gonna hang out in this hammock for just a second. I feel like this is a really good way to kind of just end the trip. It's been quite a trip. We did 200 miles in 2 days on 2 ferries and a bunch of pavement. We saw lots of things, crossed a lot of things off bucket lists for North Carolina. So yeah, I'm gonna go change into a swimsuit, and then I'm gonna head down into the water. Peace.